Howdy, this is your friendly neighborhood physics teacher here, and y'all had some questions over the Phet lab, so I'm making a video going over the Phet lab. If you've already turned in your Phet lab and you do not like your grade after watching this, we are going to give you a second attempt to try the Phet lab. So first thing, if you're trying to get into the Phet lab and it's not working, you have to go up here to this little lock and you have to say flash allow. It's probably sitting at block. You need to let it allow so you can actually run. After you do all that, please, that this does not negate you actually reading the lab, but a couple of things. So first thing, your vector, you want to be in the advanced tab. You want to go to one dimension. Your vector velocities are already clicked. So you have your velocity vector there. You want your momentum velocities clicked. So you have yellow. Yellow is your momentum. Green is your velocity. You do want the borders to be reflecting, and you definitely want your momentum chart down here. And you can see here, make it bigger so you can actually kind of see what's going on. If you notice, these are your momentum arrows. So your red ball is going that way, so it's going that way. Your green one is going that way, so it's going that way. And then this is your total. So remember, dealing with vectors, to get your total vectors, you just add them up. So y, if you would add up 1 and you add up 2, you would get this short little arrow going this way. Hopefully you remember that 1 would be positive, but 2 would be negative. So whatever number this is, plus a negative version, and you would end up getting a negative number because the 2 is bigger. Negatives in physics just mean direction. Negative in physics just mean direction. And then you got to pay attention to this little whirly thing here. It's according if you're doing the elastic lab or the inelastic lab. So we're going to play with the elastic lab first. And it says leave everything set up. So so remember this little arrow here talks about, it's the yellow arrow. So if you make the green arrow disappear, it's your yellow arrow that talks about the momentum. And so which one right now has the greater momentum? Hopefully you said green because the arrow is bigger. It doesn't matter that it's going in the negative direction, your green is bigger. And then, but which one has the greater velocity would be the red one, because your, again, your green, if we make the yellow ones disappear for right now, your green one is bigger. So you got to pay attention to those. Now, if you hit play, you go, and bounces. Pause it right after the collision, so hit restart. So we talk about before the collision, after. This is before the collision, it's after the collision. And you can see what happened. Now, pay attention to the arrows. We're going to focus on the green arrows real first. So red arrow, the red ball's arrow is going to the right. The green ball's arrow is going to the left. After they hit, they flip. They just flip. So magnitude of the velocity, the red one looks like it got bigger, and the green one looks like it got smaller, plus they flip direction. So this is when the magnitude increased, different direction. Magnitude decreased, different direction, if you're talking about velocity. Momentum is the yellow arrows. And you can see that down here in your little momentum diagram. So you hit play. As soon as it hits, you can see that your red one flips direction, your green one flips direction, and also they flip size. Your one becomes bigger, so your magnitude increases, direction is different. And the same thing with the green one. Your magnitude decreases, but direction is different. Now, I want you to pay attention to this little salmon arrow down here, the one that says taught. That's your total momentum. does your total momentum ever, ever, ever change? Hopefully you said no. Your total momentum never changes. That's going into your conservation of momentum equation. So your momentum before the collision has to equal the momentum after the collision. So that will always be the same. So there you go. And that's if we're dealing with an elastic collision. So if we reset, and now we're going to make it an inelastic, everything stays the same. We're just making it inelastic. We're going to hit play and see what happens. So what happened to the velocities? So let's just focus on the velocities real quick. So what happened to the velocities? So red's going to the right, green's going to the left. You hit, boom. Hopefully you see that the green is still going to the left, it just shrunk. Now, so it'd be same direction, decrease in magnitude, same direction. So for the red one, it would be a decrease in magnitude, different direction, because it completely flips directions. Now, if we were looking at the momentum, same thing. So they both decrease. One flips direction, two does not. But again, does the total momentum change? Hopefully you said no. Again, total momentum should stay constant. So hopefully that kind of helps understand how to work the Phet simulation. The big thing is make sure when you're in the elastic collision one, you're doing this one. When you're in the inelastic, you're in here. And then you're paying attention to the direction. The arrows literally, momentum is a vector. So remember, vectors have direction and magnitude. The length of the arrow literally tells you the magnitude. The longer the arrow, the bigger the magnitude. The smaller the arrow, the smaller the magnitude. Remember, magnitude just means a number. So if you had a really small arrow, it's going to be like 1 or 2. If you have a really big arrow, it's going to be like 10 or 20. So the bigger the arrow, the bigger the magnitude. The smaller the arrow, the smaller the magnitude. And then the arrow literally shows you the direction. So if the arrow is pointing to the right, it means the object's going to the right. If the arrow is pointing to the left, it means the object's going to the left. So hopefully that helps. Again, another thing, looking at the answers, I think what people were saying in the introduction, you need to go into the Advanced tab. Make sure you go into the Advanced tab. So hopefully that helps. If you've already done it, we'll reopen it for you so you can try it again. If you so wish, if this is your first time, hopefully this video helps. Hope you have a wonderful day. Bye.